Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna get the Stealth running. We were gonna do that in a video, but it was just out of gas. So we're gonna polish this old nasty paint on the car, see if we can brighten it up a little bit. Steve's gonna see if he can get the 924 running, and we're gonna put a battery in the brand new car I got for my wife that shouldn't need a battery. So, follow along. So this car is never gonna be perfect. I'm not a professional detailer. I'm sure somebody could spend 100 hours out here, but I'm just trying to make it look better. I used the Meguiar's medium cut cleaner, fine cut cleaner, and then glaze, and it took it from looking like this to looking like this. Is it perfect? No, it needs to be painted, but it's a $3,500 car, and a $1,500, $2,000 paint job just is not in the cards for this car. But I think just a little elbow grease, I can make it look a whole lot better. I wasn't happy with just the 3 steps, so I went a little bit further. After the glaze, I added a hand polish and a hand wax, also with Meguiar's products, because it's the best wax products in my opinion. Nobody wants to see me spend the next 3 to 4 hours polishing and waxing this car, and if you do, you've got a problem, and you should probably follow me on OnlyFans. But anyways, the hood is done. This is as good as it's going to be, but if you compare the hood with, say, the roof, I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. One addition that I made to this car that some people may disagree with is I used a spoiler off of the 3000 GT. Basically the same car, and I know people are gonna be like, oh, it needs to be on a 3000 GT. I didn't like the serving plate spoilers that these had, and this had no spoiler anyways, but it's a base model. So I've got that on. After I'm finished polishing, C-Wraps is gonna come out next week, and they're gonna do the black. I could paint it, but it's cheaper and easier just to have him wrap it. So all the black will be nice, shiny black again. I will paint all the wiper arms and loose metal trim. The driver's seat is out at the upholstery shop right now, getting the seam fixed. When they bring the seat back, they will fix the steering wheel and the shifter boot at the same time, and also this little tear in the back seat. This car is gonna look like new, like a Survivor car with original paint. I'm very pleased with the progress. Also, I found some wheels, 17-inch wheels out of my storage box out back. I didn't even know I had. They fit right on the car perfectly, and they're pretty much era correct. They've got that early 90s feel, so I'm happy with that. I do need to get some shorter lug nuts. The car runs. In the last video, you saw the coolant explode in my face. Well, it just turned out there's a lot of air in the system, and no, I wasn't burned. That's about it for the Stealth today. Let's get back over to Steve and see how he's doing on the Porsche. So I set this car on fire when trying to get it started. So we got some fire extinguisher mess to clean up. That was good. That would have been good to have on video. Then I put fuel in the tank, and about 5 gallons of gas ran out of the back. So Steve fixed that right where it's at. We're gonna get inside, see if we can't make something happen with this turd.
Trying to get this e-brake on.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I was like, man, this really is hard. Got a couple fitment issues, so I'm actually gonna just test fit the pump. Another thing is that this is an older CIS system, so that means that the fuel pumps that they use put out a lot of pressure, like 80 PSI.
Well, I did my homework for you before, and the factory pumps on these run at 72 PSI. That pump is rated from 70 to 80 PSI, so we are good. What is this?
Oh, that might be, I sat one down that was here. So this is where the original fuel pump should have mounted.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just hanging, and there was a clamp that was just hanging, so I moved it out of the way. That might be it.
Okay. So when I tried to start it by myself with starting fluid, I took the air filter and set it off to the side, sprayed a whole lot of starting fluid in here. I cranked it over, it backfired. Starting fluid caught the air filter on fire. It was dripping fire down onto the ground. It was quite the scene. And as you can see, I discharged the fire extinguisher in there. It was not running at the time, so no harm, no foul. We're pretty good at setting fire. Normally it's Steve that has fireballs go up in his face.
It's almost like it caught on fire or something. I'm acquainted with fire. Not a drop spill on the car.
Oh!
Yes. Not a drop. What the fuel looked like is coming up to the Looks like mud. I think it was definitely time to replace that bad boy.
That seems legit. Like,
Yeah.
I think it'd be okay. It could run on that.
I could totally put this next to somebody's coffee cup and they'd never know the difference if they couldn't smell it.
I bet Paul would drink it. We could tempt him with a cigarette butt off the floor of the Stealth for that, and he would do it. Wouldn't you, Paul? We know you're watching. So you guys might wonder why I spent any money on this car. Basically, what I consider, his price was way too low on the Stealth. I considered all the money that I gave him for the Stealth and this as a free car. This car doesn't have a title. It's beat. It needs tens of thousands of dollars worth of work. We are not going to restore this car. We're not going to race car it. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the engine is good and that it runs and the transmission is good and that it shifts. And then we're going to yank the engine and transmission out. I've got car secured in Battleground. I've got a red one with some really cool factory interior with a factory red plaid interior. It needs some buffing and the interior needs a little bit of work, but it doesn't have an engine and transmission, but it does have a good title and it is correct. It also has the turbo glass on it, not the big bubble glass. So I'm gonna take this one, what's left of it, I'm gonna scrap it out, part it out. I'll sell the wheels that are 928 wheels, and I'll sell that hatch. And I know there's someone out there that's looking for that checkerboard back seat, even though it needs some work, it is original. So that's my plan with this. Alan and I are gonna go next Sunday and pick that car up, assuming Marco brings the trailer back for me. So that's why we're messing with this. We just wanna make sure it's good.
All right, looks like we have a different fuel filter. I was trying to make it work, trying to move the fittings around, but it's not gonna quite be right.
All right, parts store, as usual, sent us the wrong part. I crossed that number, so I got one of those coming, but we're not gonna have it in time to film. So Steve's just gonna try throwing the old one back on and see if it'll fire off that way. I mean, it was pretty nasty, but it was flowing, so.
I wanted to check how well it would flow, so I just put that there to just see how it comes out, and then make sure that there's no leaks in the back first.
Makes sense. There you go. Sure not 70 PSI. I don't suppose you get the hook pump hooked up backwards.
Sounds like it's trying to do something. So as it turns out, pump that we're using, some of the fittings don't fit with some of the parts that we're using that well, and it turns out that I'm gonna screw something up. I put the anti-drain back valve from the old pump on this pump because you need that fitting, but I swapped it to the other side. And that made it fit better, but it also put the valve on the other side. Basically, imagine taking a tire Schrader valve and reversing it and trying to add air. That's basically what was happening. So I'm fairly confident that this will work now, pending any other issues forward. But aftermarket parts, man, what can I say? I had to take parts off of the old pump, and the part that I put on backwards. That is
What did I
going
say?
it didn't fit this way, so it might leak. We'll see.
All right, so my wife is an amazing person. She works very hard. She's very talented, and quite honestly, her job is what allows me to be such a goof off and do things I do with cars. And recently she treated herself. We found this 2020 Mercedes GLE 450 out of Miami. Now, there's GLEs everywhere, but the 450 fully loaded with all the options that this thing has in this spec with this color and these wheels was nearly impossible to find. We went through a couple of different dealers that didn't want to work with me because I am a dealer. I don't know why. I don't see what the issue was. I found a Mazda dealer out of Miami that had this in stock, and they were really easy to work with, negotiate with. They didn't try and sell me all the extra crap and BS. They just let me buy the vehicle, and we weren't financing, we just paid for it. So 2020 GLE 450, fully loaded, heated steering wheel, cooled seats, every possible option this vehicle can have, 25,000 miles. And I'm very proud of my wife. She really deserves this vehicle. So the overall buying experience of this car was great. Dealership was fantastic to work with. They helped out with shipping and everything. Salesman was great. Finance department was great. Service department on their courtesy inspection, not so much though, or their PPI, I should say. PDI, whatever they call it, pre-delivery inspection. When I got here, the insides of the tires were cut so bad that the cords were showing, so I had to put 4 tires on it, and we keep getting a battery warning code. Now it is 4 years old, only 25,000 miles on an AGM battery. That does not surprise me that it needs a battery. I'm not upset about that. I did call the dealership, talk to them about the tires. They are reimbursing me for the tires. They were very apologetic. They handled it very professionally, and they're definitely going to deal with their service tech. Now I know what happened. It went in for pre-delivery inspection. Service tech saw this car, 24,000 miles on it, and said, it doesn't need anything, and just checked it off and didn't look at the tire wear. So I'm not sure why the tires are worn that way, because the alignment is perfect, but it has a new set of tires on it, and Steve's putting a new battery in it, which is a real pain in the butt because it's under the driver's seat. So that's what it's doing here today. I'm pleased with the progress today. It's too bad Antonio wasn't here again, Antonio, to help get the MGTD done, but we're still holding on to that. Overall, satisfied with the Stealth. I'm glad to see we got a good running Porsche engine, and Steve's putting a battery in my car. So that's it for our Saturday. Thanks for sticking along. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.